Welcome to the Brazen student tutorial. This is going to be a relatively short workshop, but explain to you how to use Brazen from the student perspective. So whether you are a student or you're a staff member coaching students on the new Brazen platform for all of our virtual career fairs this fall and spring semester at Penn State, this will give you a brief introduction to that and show you some screenshots on how to walk through a virtual career fair event. I'm Matt Stein, Program Coordinator at Career Services at University Park. My contact information is on the screen at mls248@psu.edu if you have any follow-up questions to this. But I'd be happy to take some time here and walk you through this short video presentation regarding the Brazen tutorial. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me and ask me. On the agenda today, I want to kind of break this down into preparing for the event, entering the event, participating in the event, some frequently asked questions, and taking that next step of contacting your college career office to get additional assistance. So as you consider preparing for a virtual career fair, consider that it's not a whole lot different than actually preparing for an in-person career fair event. So what you should do in advance of a virtual career fair and how you can best prepare is create a Brazen account. You can go to brazen.com to simply do that. You also should test the compatibility and accessibility of your devices with Brazen. So whether you're using a laptop, a tablet, or a cell phone, make sure that you test that compatibility in advance of the event so that on the day of the event and during the actual event, you can focus on just being the best you and representation of yourself in those interactions with employers. You'll need to authenticate yourself through a Penn State single sign-on. That is to be used with your Penn State email address. Certainly alumni can get a Friends of Penn State account to participate in this event as well. Once you have the link for the actual event that you're attending, make sure you register for the fair or event in advance of this. That way, again, you can ensure the compatibility and accessibility of all your devices with Brazen platform. You should, if you experience any problems with Brazen, make sure that you contact support@brazen.com. You can certainly do that. There's also a request form if you have any technical difficulties that you can submit to Brazen. That is support.brazenconnect.com. And you can explain to them your technical difficulties and they can assist you with that. But prior to the event, you should also revise your resume, your cover letter, your LinkedIn profile. Customize these based on the employer and job description that you're seeking here. Your resume shouldn't look exactly the same for all the different positions that you're seeking, whether it's for an internship, part-time or full-time experience. Make sure that you are in fact, preparing that resume specific to that employer and job description. You should also probably upload your resume and your profile to your Brazen account. That way it's already there for you to, access during the actual event. You should also research and review all the employers attending. What do you want to learn from them? Does the organization values match your passage? Is their culture compatible with your ideal working environment? You can review their website, review Glassdoor reviews to discover the benefits, location, rating of all those potential employers that you're interested in at the career fair. Make sure that you take notes and keep an organized file on each of the organizations that you've researched so that you can easily ask your questions during the interactions. It's a good idea to have a Word document perhaps or a notes section operating on your laptop in the background where you can simply access that research that you've conducted prior to the event so that you're interacting with employers, you can access that quickly and easily. Same should be true of your resume as well, so that you can easily access that if during a chat or video interaction an employer asks for that. Also, make sure you prepare for your interactions. You want to dress for success. Even though you may only be on a chat or a phone interaction with an employer, you want to be your best self. And to help yourself do that, make sure you dress for success. You will actually, exude more professionalism if you're dressed more professional. In addition, there are opportunities during these virtual career fairs for employers to engage in a video chat with you. So you certainly want to make sure that you test your webcam prior to the event, test the background, make sure that you have a neutral professional background. And of course, like I said, your professional dress in the event that an employer engages a video interaction with you, that you can put your best foot forward. So what does it actually look like to attend a Brazen event? And how do I participate in a live event? So I broke this down into several parts here, but at the end of the day, you need to make sure that you're waiting in chat lines, and make sure that you attend the event in a timely manner. If you are in a chat line and the event ends, then you will not have that interaction with that employer. If you're already engaged in a chat with an employer and the event ends, you will actually be able to complete those chats. So something to consider, and we'll get into more details on this, is dropping of notes to employers before the event ends as a way to express your interest in their particular position, and so that employers can follow up with you easily after the event. So part one, entering the event. And I broke this down into two separate categories here. If you've not yet registered for the event, there are 7 quick steps, and 4 steps if you have already registered for the event. This is just meant to be a quick overview. I'm going to walk you through step by step with screenshots in the upcoming slide of how to do this. What I do recommend, though, is that you register for the event before the day of the event. If you notice, there's a lot fewer steps to access that. And again, as I mentioned, make sure you put your best self forward and you're not focused on getting into the event itself because you haven't registered prior to the event. But part one, if you've not registered for the event, you'll need to create a Brazen account, authenticate yourself through a Penn State SSO login, navigate to the event landing page, log into your account, click to register for the event, complete your event registration form, and enter the live event. If you've already registered for the event, you simply navigate to the event landing page, log into your account, authenticate yourself through a Penn State SSO login, and click to enter the live event. As I mentioned, I'll move through screenshots on how to do each of those steps. Part 2 of this tutorial is participating in the actual event. There are 6 easy steps for that as you engage in the interactions with employers. Scan the event lobby for booths you want to chat in, set your chat status to available, enter a booth, click to chat, start chatting, and after your chat's over, rate the chat and take some notes so that you can reference them at a later time. But again, I'll walk you through with screenshots how to participate in the event. So back to part 1, entering the event. Again, if you have not registered for the event, step 1 is to navigate to the event landing page. So this is a login URL provided in your confirmation email to access the live event. If you've already created an account, you can click the login at the top right of your page. If you have not, click enter event and use your first name, last name, and email address to create an account. You'll also be asked to authenticate yourself through Penn State single sign-on. If you notice on the screenshot here that there are several ways to sign up through Facebook, Google, and LinkedIn, most of the events, and it's most likely that those options will not be available to you as you access the event. Instead, there'll be a single button there for Penn State login to make this a super simple process for you to log in. The event landing pages will be accessed via links advertised to you by the event managers. So that will be posted probably somewhere on the Penn State website. It'll be pushed out through social media channels, or in fact, emailed directly to your Penn State account. But step 1 of entering the event is navigate to the event landing page. Step 2 is to log into your account. Again, as I mentioned, most likely you will not have the option to log in through Facebook, Google, or LinkedIn, and it will simply be a button that says Penn State Login, in which you must log in through your Penn State ID. But you will be shown a login panel to which you should enter the email address and password that you used to make your account. Click the login button and you'll be taken to the event landing page. A note, if you cannot remember your password, you can click the forget password link in the lower left-hand corner of the login panel in order to reset it. Again, as I mentioned earlier, I do recommend that you register for the event in advance. This will give you the opportunity to test your technology and troubleshoot any issues prior to actually attending the event. Step 3 of entering the event, if you have not yet registered for the event, is to click to register for the event. Again, why we're coaching students to register the events in advance is so that you don't have to go through all these additional steps at this time. But entering the event, click to register for the event. Once you return to the event landing page, click the Enter Event icon located in the center of the page. You will be then taken to the event registration form. Step 4 is to complete your event registration form. And as you can see here, different events will have different fields for you to complete, but it's going to be a simple process where you can put a profile picture, you can put the city and state where you're from, the country. You can, and highly recommend that you add your resume here, as well as your LinkedIn profile URL and any other relevant information that you need to complete. Once you've entered the requested information in the event registration form, click Continue when you are done. Registration forms are always unique to an event, and you will be required to fill one out for every event you attend. These forms compile information for your personal profile during an event. It's actually a great idea to have a different profile, different resumes for different events depending on what the event is, because you should be tailoring that resume, cover letter, your LinkedIn profile specific to those positions that you are seeking. Step 5, if you've not yet registered for the event, to enter the event, is to enter the live event. What will happen is you'll be taken to a screen, as you can see on the screenshot, and it'll let you connect one-on-one with others using text-based chats. And here's how it works. You can see there's a quick 4-step process that you click through that sort of walks you through what to do in addition to this tutorial that I'm delivering here. But you'll see a welcome window where you can click through some slides on how the online events are run. And at the end, you'll see a button labeled Enter Event. This will bring you to the event lobby. I want to backtrack a second so that we can all be on the same page. This is again part 1, entering the event, but if you've already registered for the event, and as you'll see, there's a lot fewer steps. Step 1 is to navigate to the event landing page. So use the login URL provided in your confirmation email to access the live event. Step 2, again, if you've already registered for the event, is to log into your account. Again, most likely you will not have those options of Facebook, Google, or LinkedIn login, and you'll use your single sign-on Penn State ID. Use that to log into the button and you'll be taken to the event landing page. Again, just a note, if you cannot remember your password, you can click the Forget Password link in the lower left-hand corner of the login panel in order to reset it. Step 3, if you've already registered for the event, is to click to enter the live event. Again, once you return to the event landing page, click the Enter Event icon located at the center of the page. You'll automatically enter the event. After you've logged in, if you've previously completed the event registration, you'll be then taken to the event lobby. You'll see a welcome window where you can click Enter Event to confirm your attendance for the event. So now that we're all on the same page, whether or not you registered prior to the event or you just registered for the event, let's talk part 2, participating in the event. Step 1, scan the event lobby for booths you want to chat in. So as you can see on the screenshot here, there are 3 different booths here that you can choose to chat in. You'll see a number of booths in the event lobby labeled with the organizations who are staffing those booths. Scan through them and decide which booths you want to visit. You should have already completed your research on the organizations that you plan to visit. If you recall from previous slides, I mentioned that you should do your research on those organizations that you would like to visit during this. Some organizations may have multiple booths in this lobby, but those organizations should label clearly with their recruitment things. For example, employer X may be hiring for HR positions and label their booth accordingly. Employer X may also be hiring for IT professionals and label that booth accordingly. That way you can sort and filter your search based on those specific jobs that you're looking for. Another item to note, understand that a recruiter may ask you to a phone or video chat. Again, be prepared and ensure that you are professional. If a recruiter doesn't engage you via video, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Not all employers will use this feature. Another item to note, in terms of getting in line. You can get in line to chat in multiple booths during the event. Just repeat steps 3 and 4 below for each booth you're interested in. You will not miss an opportunity if you are in multiple lines while you are engaged in other chats. Your place in line will be saved when you entered that booth. The employer will see that you are engaged with another recruiter and move to the next student in their line. Once they are completed with that chat and see that you are available, they will engage you. So feel free to jump in various chat lines without losing your place in any of the lines. Step 2, participating in the event. Manage your chats. As you can see from the screenshot, in the left-hand column, there is a menu of options for you to navigate throughout this virtual career fair. Manage your chats is an opportunity for you to open up all the different chat opportunities in the lines that you're engaged in. When you enter the event, your chat availability is automatically set to available when the event begins. However, in order to accept chats, you must still get in line in a specific booth of your choice. Again, based on the research that you've done prior to this event. You may toggle your status to away at any time during the event to stop receiving chats from any booths you may be in line for. An item of note here, if you are in line for chats and you set your status to away, your place in line will be held for you. So you will not lose your place in line. But as you can see, there are 2 ways to get in line to start chatting in a booth. The first is to open up the Manage Your Chats icon, as evidenced on the screenshot here. The other way is to enter the individual booth and click the green chat button, which we will review in the next slide. So when you enter a booth, this is an example of a booth. This booth is titled Meet the Acme Team. This particular employer recruiter indicated here, our team is excited to chat with you. We are available to answer all your questions to help you discover a job you'll love at Acme. Simply click the green button to be connected with an Acme teammate. And it's as simple as clicking the green enter button on the booth you're interested in, and you'll take that booth. And you can even see who the booth representative is and who you're chatting with. Step 4, when you do click to chat, you click on the green chat button in the upper right to indicate you're interested in chatting with a representative staffing this booth. Some booths will require you to specify an opportunity of interest before entering the chat line. You will need to click the opportunity that makes the most sense for you. Next, you'll be required to answer a few questions about the opportunity you specified. These questions will help the booth representative prepare for your chat. An item of note again, you may not be actively seeking an internship or employment currently, but you are interested in expanding your network or learning more about that particular organization. Simply indicate that to a recruiter engaged to get their contact information. Again, the recruiter may initiate a video chat. Be prepared by dressing professionally with a neutral background for your webcam. An addendum to step 4 is to cancel the chat. You may cancel the chat at any time. When you are done with the questions from the booth staff, you'll be taken back to the booth where you will see that the button in the upper right-hand corner is now red and says cancel. You can always click that red cancel button if you wish to give up your place in line to chat in this booth. Do note that you will give up your place in line when you click cancel that chat. Step 5 is to start chatting. You will hear an audible ping notification when it's your turn to chat with a representative and will be automatically taken to the chat screen. You will chat directly with a representative while on this page. A couple items of note. Make sure that you respond to the chat invitation promptly, as the chat will time out if the invitation is not accepted in a timely manner, and you will lose your spot. Also, it's important to keep an eye on your chat connectivity and the time left in your conversation. Bad connectivity could affect your ability to chat. This is again why it's paramount to test your connectivity and accessibility to the Brazen platform prior to the event actually starting. Again, as I mentioned earlier, if you are waiting in a chat line and the event ends, you will be kicked off and not have that interaction with that particular employer. If you are already engaged in a chat when the event ends, you will be able to complete those chats with that recruiter. A great idea is to drop notes to employers before the event ends as a way to express interest in their positions in their organization so that they can follow up with you after the event. Step 6 is to rate and take notes. You'll be taken to a chat conclusion page when your conversation is ended. This page will allow you to rate your chat and take notes about the representative or anything that was discussed. When you are done, click Continue with Event button to return to the event lobby. Employers will not be able to see your ratings, but they will be able to access your chat history. That's why it's important to be professional at all times. You can access your chat history for at least 6 months by clicking History in the upper right corner of your screen from the lobby. To access the lobby after the event, enter the event just as you would if the event were live. It is important to add notes and rate your chat, especially if you participate in more than one conversation. Just as you would an in-person career fair, you're going to have multiple interactions with different employers and recruiters. They will all start to run together. Take a couple moments after those interactions and jot down some notes of what stood out to you about that organization or why that particular position really gains your interest, or maybe it's not something that you're interested in pursuing. But take some time and take some notes so that you can reference them after the event ends. Again, if you experience any technical difficulties throughout the event, you can access support at brazen.com. Also there at the Brazen homepage, there are some event frequently asked questions. Things like attending an event, joining audio video chat, sending and receiving final thoughts, changing your password, a Brazen service check to make sure that everything with your computer and browser is compatible with Brazen. Feel free to check those out on the Brazen homepage. There are also some technical frequently asked questions in regards to accessibility, password reset, connectivity, your browser supporting Brazen platform, etc. Feel free, those are all active live links for you to click on, and it'll take you to some frequently asked question answers. Again, troubleshooting support at brazen.com, and you can get answers to anything that you may have. I want to leave you with some final thoughts. Just as you would an in-person fair, make sure that you research the organizations that you plan on interacting with. You want to be prepared for those interactions. Save them in a note file, which you can access during that interaction with that particular employer. Especially for chat, have your responses canned and saved in a document to save time typing. Simply copy and paste. This is true of your resume and elevator pitch as well. Maybe you want to have a brief introduction of who you are and why you're interested in that position. You can script those in advance and simply copy and paste them into the chat to save yourself some time in typing. Most interactions are timed. In addition, if you are in line and the event ends, you will not have an opportunity to interact. But if you're already engaged in a chat and the event ends, you can finish that chat. So make sure you watch the clock and get to the event and interact with those employers and get in line early. Remember, you can get in multiple lines at once. Get the contact information of the individual that you interact with. Make sure you follow up with them. Include a thank you note, any ask of them, and any additional questions you may have regarding the position, including the next steps that they may have. Make sure that you save all your materials, including a transcript of your chats. You can access in that Brazen platform up to 6 months after the event. And after each interactive, make sure you take a couple minutes to keep notes of your conversations for review after the virtual fair. And last, keep it professional at all times. It may be easy to text speak since you are in a chat, but be prepared for a video call. Make sure you wear professional attire, mind your posture, make sure that you have a neutral professional background. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. But your most important resources are your campus or college career offices. We are here for you. We want you to be your best self. Make sure you go out and enjoy the experience.